The bottom line is prolific consumer borrowing is being curtailed and spending has ceased. The Obama administration, you know, I heard, who did I hear? Dennis Gardner, who's a dear friend of mine. I've known him for many years. He said, after November 5th, he said, I don't know whether to give congratulations or condolences to the president-elect. You've got a tough job. And we all have to somehow get behind him and help him. But the Obama administration must find other sources of GDP growth. And there aren't many. So they're going to goose this thing with spending. Lots of spending. And I think that'll be very good, actually, for the commodity stocks. I just wanted to show you this. This goes back over the Clinton administration, and the Bush administration is here, basically 2000. This shows you GDP growth in blue, and in red is GDP without mortgage equity withdrawals. So this is like cocaine, right? Because for a long time what we've had here, we've been doling out the cocaine to keep things going. And you can see here that while we reported pretty good GDP growth in 2000, 2001, 2003, and so on, most of it came from equity loans on homes. This is the piggy bank effect. This is where people had a party. We had a party in the United States of America. And the party was, if you had a home that was worth $500,000 and your mortgage was $150,000, you could refinance that, take $100,000 out, and have a vacation, I guess. And unfortunately, it didn't go into savings. No. So growth rates have been wildly overstated for a number of reasons. Not only this reason, but also inflation. Growth rates in GDP were also overstated as a result of inflation. The growth hasn't been that strong in this country. Certainly not as strong as elsewhere in the world. So in fact, the Chinese experience, the BRIC experience, you know, a lot of people are bad-mouthing the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, but they have led the world in growth over the last decade, in my opinion. This is auto sales, not so good. Volvo reported they sold 115 trucks in the third quarter versus 41,000 in the third quarter of 2007. Wow. Okay, now I'm going quick because I know you guys are getting anxious. This is called the VIX. So now we're going to get a little technical. The VIX is a volatility index, and you get it by looking at the call option prices and put option prices, and you back out of the VIX the volatility measure that gives you those prices. And so these were the good old days when the VIX was 10 and 18 and then fell to 10. This is 2006 and 2007. And then we had the Bear Stearns, the first failures, remember, of the two funds, the two hedge funds that failed. And things started to get a little queasy, and everybody thought, well, maybe it's just Bear Stearns. But the VIX started to move up. In other words, the markets were anticipating problems. I wish I had seen this. I wish I could have seen this at the time. But obviously, you can't look into the future. But you can see the VIX moving up and kind of basing out. And then on September the 15th, I always call September the 15th a day that will live in infamy. I stole that from somebody. I heard it somewhere. Lehman was let go. And we were having a discussion about that this morning. Maybe that guy's going to end up doing 10 years behind bars. Maybe good.
Good. Yes.
And AIG was taken under the wing with an $85 billion loan at LIBOR plus, I forget, 3 or something like that. And they had to pay it back into it. Now that's $150 billion. But look at what happened to the VIX. It's about 70 now, somewhere in that range. This is as of Friday, by the way. So the VIX. So all of a sudden, what did the world do? The world was very content with risk for about 10 years. And so the volatility in the option premiums was low. And then all of a sudden, you had panic. And the world became very risk averse. And you could see that in the pricing of options contracts. And that's when things started to melt down. You know, I always say one thing. What we should really do, you know how you go into an apartment building, there's no 13th floor? What if we went into the next year and we decided not to have an October? Yeah, this might work. Because we've had a few bad Octobers, right? Look at this. In October, this is as of Monday. I didn't get this updated this morning. U.S. investors withdrew $56 billion in September and $70.7 billion in October from U.S. mutual funds. And from peak to trough in October, the market was down 26%. That's a pretty big fall, a pretty big fall. And of course, now the market is not at 87.24, but it's at 84 because it was down on Friday. So we've had a dramatic revaluation downward of equities. And I could show you the S&P 500, the NASDAQ. I could show you also the French CAC 40 or the British FTSE or whatever you want. You see the same pattern. So the world revalued itself in October. The world revalued itself. And so all of us that are sitting here, some of us may not even know it. I certainly haven't looked at my 401ks because I'm afraid to, or my IRAs, but we're all worth less than we were a couple of months ago. Now, there are some fallout, there's some things that fall out from this, and I'm hurrying so I can get through this. I read a great article in Foreign Affairs in November, December 2008. It's called Freight Pain. It says globalization's golden age is dead. I also happen to believe there will be serious challenges for environmentalism, because environmentalism is expensive, and it will fall out before all of the other necessities have to get answered. But globalization's golden age is dead. This is according to this article in Foreign Affairs. 2 factors driving the retreat of globalization: rising transportation costs. It's not even clear how airlines are going to survive if we have $100 oil again. And diminishing reliability, and I might also add labor costs in those countries that were formerly good providers of exports are rising. And I think Mr. Hale presented that well last night. He talked about increasing wage rates in Asia. Although the international trade in manufactured goods will continue to expand, its rate of growth is likely to be far lower of the past 4 decades. The end, these are quotes, the end of globalization's golden age will have major political and economic implications, and it will be very good for this country, because we are going to have to rebuild our industrial infrastructure, and we're going to have to train people how to build things, and we're not going to be able to give them everything that we've been giving in the past. Those days are gone also, even though the Democratic Congress and perhaps the Obama administration want to keep the union things alive at GM. We'll have to see how that works out. But I think this will be very, very good for this country. It'll put us to the test. By the way, the quality of life is likely to fall here.